We've put together another team of 11 of the most overpowered players in FM24. Using some of your suggestions from the last video and some of our own picks, we've created a team of these OP beasts for you guys in game, whether they've got great hidden mental attributes or they've got great physical attributes that are going to help them a lot in the in-game engine. We have got some top picks. We haven't focused on the ones that you'll all know, so hopefully there's something for everyone, and let's check out the first player. And my goalkeeper of choice is Atalanta's Marco Cronesci here. Now you can pick him up in your save for about £3 or £4 million from the Serie A club, and he is a good goalkeeping option for a few reasons. One, he's quite young and he's nowhere near the prime of his career just yet, still plenty of room to develop. Two, he's got some very good attributes all around, and three, the thing that we're going to focus on a lot with some of these players, I won't show it with every player, but we'll use Cronesci as an example. He has great hidden mental attributes. What I mean by this is the in-game editor allows us guys here to see players who have great consistency, high ratings for important matches. That'll mean that they play better overall in the in-game engine. Without the in-game editor, you can't get an exact value for your players in terms of how good they are. Sometimes you'll see it in their coach reports that a player is consistent or enjoys big matches, but it doesn't tell you whether that rating is 11 out of 20 or 13 out of 20 or 15 out of 20. What I can tell you using Marco here as an example is he has a rating of 15 for consistency and 15 for important matches, meaning he is going to be a man that you can rely upon between the sticks, and sometimes that's all you want from a keeper. Now that we've got all the explanations out the way though, we can move through this team at a faster rate, and our first player is Isaac Hein. He's a Swedish international who plays centre-back for Hellas Verona out in Serie A and can be picked up for about 5 million. The 24-year-old has got a few years yet before he really reaches the prime of his career, but he's 6'3" with great physical attributes, which is going to make him a very valuable option in your team. This year in FM24 and also FM23, if you have players with great physical attributes, they tend to really dominate the in-game engine, and Hein is going to do exactly that with great strength and jumping reach, nice pace and acceleration too. Just because he's big doesn't mean he's slow. He's got good heading ability, marking, he can even play the ball out of defence should you want him to. And this player has a high rating for consistency too. I won't spoil it and tell you the rating for everyone, but it's good, and his important matches is fairly good as well. So he's a top centre-back option that should perform well for you, particularly for that £5 valuation. Is he going to be the next Virgil van Dijk? Probably not, but he could still be an elite level centre-back for a very cheap fee. Before we continue, if you do enjoy these kind of videos, make sure you smash the like button for us to show your support. It really does help our channel out here on YouTube, and subscribe if you haven't already. There's daily Football Manager content here on the channel, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on some of the superstars that we're giving you in these videos. And finally, comment down below some of your suggestions, the best players that you've used so far in your saves, and hopefully we'll be able to bring them into another part of this series. Last year we did 5 or 6 parts to this, and hopefully we can do the same this year as well. Our other centre-back is one of my favourites on this list. He's someone that I sign so often on the rebuilds that I do on my channel, which by the way, if you enjoy my content, you can find that linked in the description. It's Kevin Danzo, who you'll find playing for Lens in the French division. Now, he's formerly of the Bundesliga, playing for Augsburg and Dusseldorf, and was also at one point playing for Southampton. Now, he's got great ability right from the off, particularly in those physical attributes, where he's quick, strong, and good in the air with 17 jumping reach at 6'3". He's got great heading, marking, and he can play the ball out of defence as well. Technique and vision is lacking a little bit for that, but if you're looking for an out-and-out defender, Danzo could be the man. 15 positioning as well. The bravery and anticipation is at a high level too, so yes, he's a great pick. He's a bit more expensive than some of the others, about 15 million. We won't really go over that price point with the players in this list, but he is a top draw centre-back, an Austrian international. At 24, he's about to head into his prime in the next few years, and hopefully if you sign him, he can do that at your club. Next, we have Leonardo Lelo, but you'll have to be quick with him. This is a Portuguese 23-year-old playing for Casa Pia, who are a side out in Portugal. Now, so often in my saves, I've seen him move to Chelsea, move to Arsenal, move to Liverpool, and we can see that here with Arsenal and Liverpool interested in him right away, and that's because he's a great left-back option for a very cheap fee. £2 million is an absolute bargain for this guy that can play anywhere on the left, good natural fitness, he's quick as well when he goes forward, he can defend as well as he can attack with great mental attributes. He's a modern-day fullback who wants to bomb down that wing and put some crosses in. He's a great player who's got the potential to go very far, potentially a Portuguese international with 5 under-21 appearances already. It's not the the furthest shout to say that that could be the case for Lelo, and for 2 mil, he is definitely worth the pickup. Our other fullback is the youngest player in this list. I tend not to pick young players for these overpowered players videos because if they're under the age of say 21, a lot of their hidden mental attributes can fluctuate and be randomized in a save. But Josh Doig is a player that so many of you suggested. I think we got 3 comments in the last overpowered video talking about this man. He's a Scottish fullback, 21 years of age, valued at about 15 million, again playing for Hellas Verona, who seem to have some beasts in their team. He's 6'2" and likes to bomb forward down the left-hand side with great pace, but that doesn't mean he's weak in the air or not strong. He's got both of those aspects to his game as well. Plenty of strings to his bow. He can go forward as well as he can defend. He's got great consistency as well, hidden in the in-game editor, but that could be randomized with a player at 21, so I wouldn't rely upon that too much. Either way though, on paper, an absolute star with great mental attributes too. He could be a top draw talent and is one that will attract the interest of the big clubs in your save if you don't get there first. We move away from defense now into midfield, and this one was suggested a few times again in the comments of the last video, so this is one of your guys' suggestions, Paulo Dybala. Now we all know how good he is, and it's weird to put him in an overpowered players video because I tend to pick players that most people won't tend to go for, but Dybala, I mean, a lot of people have probably forgotten about him and forgot how good he is. He's the only player in this video that does have a pretty poor attribute in the mental side, and that's his injury proneness, which is at a high rating, but so many people were saying I bought him for his release clause, which by the way, it's a very cheap £10 million. Loads of people saying they signed him for say Manchester United, got a great couple of years out of him, and then sold him for over 100 million to Saudi Arabia. And I would not put that past FM24 with the kind of offers that Saudi make. But yeah, I mean, 29 years of age, still some room left in the tank. He's good at Roma, and hopefully he'll be good if you sign him as well, with amazing technical attributes, mentals and physicals, even if it's just to try and fulfill the potential that Dybala had. Not saying he wasn't a great player, he definitely was, but he definitely could have gone a little bit further, and we all expected a little bit more from him in his career. So Paulo Dybala, check him out. If you're managing a big club, he could be that player that really brings your team together and gets you those wins. Alongside him in the midfield, I'm going for Yousef Yassi here, who is a player who plays for Lille, and I used Lille plenty of years ago in an FM save back in the day on my channel, and this guy was an absolute superstar, and it looks like he still is in game. The 26-year-old has plenty of international experience, is playing consistently for Lille, and is valued at about 6 mil because he only has 1 year left on his deal, so he might be worth scouting and seeing if you can get him for a free at the end of the year, or maybe just trying to act quick whilst his value is low and bring him to your club. I mean, physically, he's fine. He's nothing to shout home about, but mentally and particularly technically, he is insane with great vision, passing and technique. The penalties are there, the free kicks, the long shots, the first touch, the finishing, the dribbling. There is nothing this man can't do. He's a leader who works hard, great off the ball work and teamwork. And I could go all day about his attributes here because he's so talented. The left-footed midfielder is great in big games with a high rating for important matches. Bear in mind, he's not the most consistent. He's not inconsistent. He's got a rating of around 10, so it's not the worst in the world, but just bear that in mind. He's maybe not amazing in that area of the game, but with those technicals and those mentals, he will be very overpowered in the in-game engine. Another favourite of my own from years gone by, FM23, I had a save with Aberdeen, and Duke was the main man. He was with us for 5 or 6 years. By the time we won the Champions League, he was still in the squad, and that squad had changed massively over the years, but he was still with us. The Cape Verdean international is 23, playing in the Scottish divisions, and he has exactly what he needs in the in-game engine to be a deadly player, and that is acceleration, pace with decent finishing ability. That is really all you need, particularly at this kind of level with the Scottish divisions. He will absolutely tear it up. Whether you play him out wide or even just as an advanced forward up front, he will be a very good player. Now, he's definitely not one for the elite level teams. If you're playing for a lesser team, he could be a good pickup for about 2 million. He's not the most consistent in the world, so bear that in mind. But based on the fact he's got the acceleration, the pace, and I've seen him do well in game in my own saves, I'm going to suggest him here for you guys as an overpowered pick. 3 players to go now, and this one comes from you guys from the comments down below in the last video. This is Tdinga. Now, he is a Dutch 22-year-old, 5'11" forward who's got really nicely rounded attributes in all areas. There's nothing where he really stands out, but the benefit of that is there's nowhere where he really lacks. He can pass decently well, he can finish, he's got good physical attributes, good mentals, and good technicals, decent in the air, and would make a very good complete forward. For only 6 million from Toulouse in the French league, he could be a very good pickup. He's been been there for a couple of years, did well in the second division of the Netherlands with Excelsior, made his way to Toulouse, scored a few goals. The comment that mentioned him said that he scored 20-30 goals a season if I remember right, and he was just an unbelievable striker. Whether that comment was truthful about how good this player could be is another question, but for 6 million, he's definitely worth a try. This player was great last year in Football Manager, and he's great yet again. It is Rafa Mir, Sevilla's striker, 26 years of age, valued at about 7 million. What I love about him, and the reason that I think he does so well in the in-game engine, is because he's quick, strong, and good in the air. He's got all three things going for him, combined with good finishing ability. Decent mentals is the weakest side of his game, but he is still fairly strong there, with 17 heading, good long shots as well. This is as much of a complete forward as you'll ever see in-game for this kind of price point. Rafa Mir's got a high rating for important matches as well, and his consistency isn't too weak. It's at a medium level, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about that. The number 9 for Sevilla, scout him, check him out, and try and pick him up in your save. And for our last player, we're heading back to the French divisions to Montpellier to have a look at Akor Adams, who is a Nigerian 23-year-old forward who has been recently signed by Montpellier, so you won't be able to get him straight away in season 1. He's going to be one to scout. But what I love about him is he's 6'3", so he's a physical presence who's good in the air with 15 jumping reach, but he's got really good strength, pace, and acceleration, and on top of that, can finish as well. With his work rate, pressing forward has been suggested, but I think advanced forward, he could definitely still do a good job. He's got decent composure, decision making, and anticipation for only a 23-year-old, and for about 6 mil, he could definitely be worth the punt as one of those overpowered strikers in your team. There's probably better options out there, but he's still worth taking a look at, scouting him, and see how he gets on in the French division. But there you go, there's 11 overpowered players for you in a single team, players that have got great attributes in game that will make them really talented, or they have very strong mental attributes that are hidden by the in-game editor. Make sure you give us your suggestions in the comments down below, because they're sure to feature in our next part of this series. Thank you for watching, like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.